now tuned into the Gr8L8 show on Farside TV. I have my guest here, Madeline Lauer. How you doing?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
Man, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
It's a trip because I met you literally January. We were both on the same bill for Toolbox LA, and I was amazed at your performance, from just stage presence to just vocal range and everything. So this leads me to my first question. Did you receive any formal vocal training?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I moved to LA when I was 18, and I got some training here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's just a lot of practice on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dope. Definitely dope. And you're talking about moving here at 18, and this is like right before you graduating, and you're working on your first album because you met a producer at a talent show, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I got a call back from a producer who lived out in Costa Mesa,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, I want to record your first album. Are you able to like take off school?
Yeah.
And my parents were very adamant about me finishing high school.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad actually decided he would homeschool me out
Mm-hmm.
here for the last half of my senior year, and I started working on my first album. Then the day after I went back and graduated, I was like, I just gotta like go out there for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I never left.
Yeah. What was that transition like? Because that's such a critical time in your life. Like, you're a senior in high school, like prom is happening, and then trying to make new friends and everything. What was that like?
I always felt like I didn't belong back home. As much as I had an amazing childhood and I had a lot of friends growing up, I just felt like I was not meant to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So the transition was, in a way, euphoric, but also it was very difficult. And at the time going through it, I wasn't looking at it like this is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I look back and I see some of the emotional roller coasters I went through, just trying to like do this industry and be out here on my own without my family. So
Mm-hmm.
It was difficult, but it just taught me so much.
So you did a lot of this album actually in the hotel, right? So how was that blocking your time with like school, writing, working on the production of it, and all that?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, my schoolwork was reduced to more project-based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just have like random assignments that I could do whenever I had time. And my first album, I actually didn't write any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to talk bad about the people that gave me my first chance, but they weren't letting me really write, and they were kind of just handing me stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why that album isn't out anymore,
Dang,
because it's just so unreflective of
who you are.
Who I am. It was just a total learning curve for me.
Mm-hmm.
And even just learning how to record and harmonize and that whole process, it's not reflective of who I am now. So
Mm-hmm. We were talking about this a little bit off air. You coming up, you're in your late teens, but like this is like 2009, 10, where R&B, the people at the forefront of it, they're becoming a lot more pop and doing electronic stuff. Like Usher was doing "Oh My God" and Neo was doing "Let Me Love You." So did that help you kind of go in different genres as well and experiment?
yeah, I think it was a tough time for R&B during that time.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to a lot of pop and a lot of country, which is not something I listen to at all anymore.
That's a trip.
But it was just my environment that curated that taste. And when I moved to LA, that was around the time, Neo was doing a lot of more EDM stuff, and Usher, just like you said. I was working with a lot of producers who were like, you should probably be like more of a soul singer. So they were introducing me to a lot of like old school neo soul artists.
Nice.
Music Soul Child, Eric Benet, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, So I was just going like old school during that time.
Because I talked to certain R&B artists about this, because sometimes you can be kind of put in a hole because there's reoccurring topics and things that happen in R&B. And I would say like later down the line, like the 2011s up until now, where we're at with alternative R&B,
Yeah.
they are like real storytellers, kind of like how you hear it in rock and different genres. And touching on what you said earlier, you were like, yo, like I've always been a songwriter. I've always had journals. I've always done that. So at what age did you realize like, yo, like I'm really nice with this pen and I'm gonna tell my stories? Because Three Stories was such a great song, and that's why I went ahead and played it today.
Oh, thank you. I was probably like 22 because I was writing with a bunch of different people out here, and I would go into a lot of writing sessions being very insecure because I didn't know if what I had was good, and I didn't, I was just nervous to share my ideas, so I was letting a lot of people take over the session, and then I was just singing what they came up with. And it wasn't until I met my husband who just kind of like gave me a catalog of beats to pick out of, that I started writing on my own and started making songs that I felt very proud of. And I just was like, I've been through so much at this point. I had a story to tell. I had a lot of experiences under my belt and a lot of relatable experiences.
And then you eventually went to college, but at the time when you first started, you realized college wasn't in the plans.
Right. Well, I knew I always wanted to be a performer, and I always wanted to be a recording artist. My tunnel vision was specific to making music people could buy. I had been out here for a few years, and I got pretty lost, as a lot of young girls do, and I was making bad decisions, and I just wasn't feeling like myself, so I decided to move home. And my mother, who's always kind of given me a little bit of a guilt trip for being out here and leaving my family, when I got back home and I told her I thought maybe I would just move home, she was like, I don't think that's what you should do. And it was like this huge moment for me, having her support and being like, I believe in you. You just need to learn how to do some more stuff on your own rather than rely on so many people who are just taking advantage of you. And so I enrolled myself into the Los Angeles Recording School to learn how to record and mix and just make my own music. Got an internship at a recording studio because that's part of the program. And that's where I met my husband, and then we started making music, and that's just, the rest was history.
Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So it just seems like it was all meant to be.
I think so too.
And then, kind of going back into your writing, I read something that was really interesting. It was that you tend to write music for yourself as if you're writing for Aaliyah. So why specifically her?
So I grew up, like I said, listening to a lot of pop music. I really focused on Christina because I felt like I don't feel like I'm as strong of a singer, but I feel like I kind of had those elements. But I just found that it was very unnatural for me to just do all these runs and belts and just be like this crazy powerhouse singer. I felt like I was forcing something. And I remember hearing Aaliyah's Rock the Boat, and I thought, oh wow, she's just so chill on that track. And this is like me discovering Aaliyah at a later age, because when she died, I was so young. It was just something about Rock the Boat that just made me just kind of rethink how I stylistically wanted to sing. Yeah, so I tend to kind of write like I'm thinking this could be an Aaliyah song.
That's amazing. Well, speaking of Aaliyah, this is the song that you requested that we played. So
speaking
of it, we'll talk a little bit more about it in a second. But don't you go nowhere. Gr8L8 show. Cool. You already mentioned your husband, and y'all just got married. Congrats.
Thank you.
How has that journey been since the jump? Because I know that's not easy, especially being in a genre where so many of your past experiences have come up, especially with relationships and everything.
Yeah. Well, I think that what makes it work is that he's secure, and he just wants me to be the best artist I can be. Like, he genuinely believes in me, and he puts in so much time and effort and love, and just so I can grow and develop, and he challenges me. it's important for an artist to tell their truth, and so he understands that, and he would rather me be talking about some real shit than just some crap that, you know, that's nothing. Yeah. But the process of us working together, I think it was a godsend, because it is such an intimate experience, and you spend so much time with the person you're creating music with.
Exactly.
That we feel very lucky we get to do it together and spend that time together.
So how do you separate your worlds? Because I know you have your world as a couple, then your world as musical partners, and then as individuals. How do you go about balancing that off?
That's a really good question. I think that it's just coming very naturally to us. We go home and we're very cuddly and lovey, and, you know, we're chill. But in the studio, it's work time. And, you know, we're very focused. And
then going into acting and talking about handling your business, you starred in Only True Love. So tell us about the plot.
Okay, this was my first film, and it was so much fun. It's basically about a man who is unfaithful to his wife. I play Mia, the wife, and she catches him, and she says, well, I think the only way for this to be okay is if I get to cheat as well.
Yeah.
So she kind of goes through this process of interviewing different suitors for the affair, and he's kind of watching her do this and feeling defeated because he's guilty, so he just has to let her do it. It was interesting. It was so much fun. But yeah.
That's so interesting, because like when I was looking at it all, I was like, man, like she just got married, but she's doing this role. Like, there's so many layers. I'm pretty sure he's supportive and understands.
Oh, of course. Everything I do is for us too. You know, it's for our family.
Yeah, definitely. What was it like prepping for that role? And just shooting and just everything.
You know, it was a whole learning curve for me. It was just so brand new. So it was, you know, I was just trying to like make sure I knew all my lines and make sure I was like in it every day and focused, and but also having a lot of fun, and I just met a lot of great people. It was long days. You know, you're saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, and you get a little delirious towards the end, but once you see the product and you have something to show for it, it makes it worth it.
That's awesome. I want to talk about the wedding just a little bit, because I saw the pictures. And I was like, oh snap, she just got married. Dang.
Yeah.
So where'd y'all get married?
We got married downtown at a place called the Gr8L8 house, and it was just very intimate, very romantic, but it was so much fun. It was the best day of our lives. All of our friends were there. It was perfect. It was so perfect. Yeah.
Man, just look at the pictures. I was just like, all right, go ahead. This looks great.
It was a
Those
party.
Are goals.
Thanks.
Goals. And then we were talking a little bit off air, but you were talking about how your first dance was Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On, but it didn't really like pan out.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't practice any sort of moves or anything, and I'm not the best dancer, and my husband is, and he's always like, follow my lead, follow my lead. I don't know, it was good, but it wasn't like that moment where you're like, this is our first dance, you know. It was like an hour later, and I had told the DJ, you gotta play Rock the Boat at some point. It's my jam. And my husband, of course, knows that it's my jam. So I'm on the dance floor, all my girls on the dance floor, and it starts. And I just see my husband from across the room just run over, because he knows that I'm about to get down.
That's the joy.
It was just such a special moment for us, where we were just like connected. And it was like we had a routine. It was like we had a dance routine, but we didn't. And the dance floor cleared, and they just let us do our thing. And everyone was like, that was your first dance.
Exactly.
Screw that other one.
You had a really dope experience at the Conway recording studio, so you ran into a lot of your musical heroes, right?
Oh, yeah. I was a receptionist at Conway Recording Studios for 3 years. Changed my life. Not only did I work with like the best people ever, they're all my best friends now, but I got to meet like everybody. And also, you see them enough times, and they let you come in and listen to all the new shit, and it's just, yeah.
Man, so was that your first major insight into the industry, would you say?
I would say yes. I would say absolutely yes. I felt like I knew a lot before that. Once you get a good look at how certain camps are running and what's working and what's not working, you really take away a lot of valuable knowledge. I think every recording artist should be educated in the recording process and the producing process and learning certain terms so you can articulate
exactly what you want.
What you want and what you need. I mean, you know, a lot of times people use words that they're like, put more fluff on it or
and you're
something.
Like, what does that even mean?
And the producer is like, okay, I don't, you know, I need to know specifically what you need. So yeah.
Well, man, I could definitely see how you're well-rounded in the sense of at least you know, like, recording stuff, and then you know a little bit of music theory, and then you have a great team behind you, and it really shows, especially how the tracks are mixed and mastered, and just the production, and it fits so well with your voice. Like,
thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, like Brown knows, the listeners know, everyone knows who know me. Like, I don't say stuff. I don't waste words. So when I actually like sit and like play certain people or like give people compliments, like that's really coming from my heart. So that's why I had to have you on and play your records, because I was like, yo, like she's really doing something. And like when the music's good, it's so easy for me to get behind and push even harder, because I'm like, yes, because I like really believe in it. And like, it's not to say that with other people that still need help or like are still developing that I don't push for them too. It's just that it's like when I like really like see it and it's like it's clear as day, it's like, oh my god, like this is a gem. So
wow.
Yeah.
Those were such nice words. Thank you for saying that.
No problem.
It
so
feels
like
good.
I thank you so much for coming on and, you know, shedding your knowledge and hearing your perspective, because even like I was joking about Music Soul Child in the interview. It's like there aren't too many, I feel like, true in-depth R&B interviews out there. There's some for hip-hop, there's some for rock and all that, but like I want to be one of those people that, yo, this is the go-to guy.
And you will be. You will be.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're focused on it, and you have a vision for your show, and it was so much fun being here. So I had a great time. Thank you.
I appreciate that greatly. Big shout out to the network, Farside TV, Brown on the technical directing.